Today we're going to talk about advice giving. The goal of the advice giving phase is to address the client's original concerns and then add any observations, questions, or insights that you have accumulated over the course of examining their data that may be in addition to their original concern. Things that perhaps they should be concerned about, but it just hadn't come to their attention. So what is the client's original concern? The original concern is the business doing well? And if so, or if not, how can you tell? We have to use our expertise to figure this out. For example, can debts be paid? If not, maybe they're not doing well. Are profits at expected levels? If not, maybe from the client's point of view, that's not doing well. Is the business generating cash? Are both products doing well, or is one doing much better than the other? What is the trajectory for sales? Are they going up? Are they going down? Are they flat? In the client advice memo, you don't want to give generic advice that all businesses are slow when they start, or all small businesses, and finish the sentence. Don't speculate on the market. Don't tell the client if you raised prices you would do better, because you don't know if you raise prices what would happen to the market reaction. Volume might go down. Or if you lower prices, you don't know that sales volume would double or something like that. Don't speculate. Limit how much you teach your client. They're not really interested in learning what you've learned in this course. They want to know what your advice is given what you have learned. So you only need to explain enough for them to absorb your advice. Limit the jargon. Use everyday English and leave off the terms. Use their own data to reach your insights, and be sure to tell them how to track going forward. In order to come up with advice to give, we have to start with comprehension. Do you think your client is doing well? So your numbers don't match mine because the numbers change every semester, but we can use the numbers that I have here as an example. Let's look at this income statement. The profit is, if I'm just eyeballing it, maybe 3% of sales. There is one massive expense that completely eclipses all the others, and that's the cost of goods sold. So here, the cost of the inventory is a major issue in terms of the profitability. The next largest item is the infomercial cost, and after that everything else is pretty minor. We also don't see any labor charges in here, so the profit is the only thing that the owners are getting for their time in this business. Let's look at the balance sheet. So what do we have here? We have some cash that hasn't been used up yet. We have customers that haven't paid us for sales. We have some unsold inventory. And if you remember, I've got the deposit and the prepaid postage flipped, so that $130 is actually the deposit, and then the $38 is actually the unused postage. And then we have the unamortized cost of the production of the infomercial. And then we have amounts that we owe. And look at the size of what we owe. It's almost the entire asset list, isn't it? So that's a problem because we don't have anywhere near, this particular client doesn't have anywhere near enough cash to pay off the liabilities. Cliff might be willing to wait a while for his $9,000, but the other amounts may be due sooner. So that's an issue. Let's look at the cash flow. What we see here is that we've collected from customers almost all that we sold, not all of it, and that we've made payments to vendors, and those payments to vendors are higher than what we've collected, so that's negative operating cash flow, and businesses can't typically operate with negative operating cash flow for very long. In fact, we call that a burn rate. So there needs to be a plan for the collections to exceed the payments to vendors. So after reviewing your financial statements and writing out your various observations, there may be some other things that you want to do. So you have some sales data. You may wish to sort those by date sold and see what the trend is. You may want to look at the relative profitability of the two products to see if they're equally profitable. And that might be also part of your investigation. So after you've written down all the things that you have observed, you're ready to start giving advice. There are a number of important tips in the resources that were given to you about the audience and how to write a good client advice memo. This was taken from those resources. It's real important that you stay focused on the main thing you want to tell your client. And if you had to write that in one sentence, what would the main thing you want to tell them be? And that should probably be your first sentence. If your message doesn't have a central idea, then you need to rethink until it does. In addition to the importance of the first sentence being the central idea, the central message, it's important to have a logical flow to the discussion, and that may mean that you need to start with an outline. I occasionally get projects that do what I call conversation tennis. They start with one idea, they move to another idea, then they're back to the first idea, and then, oh, now we're back to the second idea, and that type of back and forth is very hard to follow. So each paragraph should have a main idea and supporting evidence and reason and logic, and like ideas should be combined together in the same paragraph. Don't narrate schedules and computations in paragraphs. It's very hard to read lists of data in paragraphs. It's better to create a schedule and then refer in your paragraph as you see in Exhibit A, and then just describe the result of the exhibit, and the client can look at the exhibit for the dollar amounts that are there. You may also want to create a visual. Let's say that there is some trend in the sales over the month and you wish to show that. A graph is a great way to show a trend. There is an example of a client advice memo in the budgeting project that was shared with you, so if you want to see one written out, you can do that. Good luck with the project. Have fun.